All right, this may be a little shorter share today because he's going to go into a review of things that we already know, and I just don't want to go through it again. It's rather quite long. We're on page Kuf Tzadi Zayin. Let me get a little bit better focus here. And the Kuf Tzadi Zayin, we're at the bottom of the top part. Well, look at read the top part. He said, "V'gasavdi kol zeh lahoros." This was teaching you about getting the hair cut on Lag BaOmer, which is a steerer for what he said earlier, that you're not supposed to cut the hair before for the 49th. But they say that they pointed it out, because they call Zechel Lahoris, the Shoki Yesh Shorish B'Minhag on this. Because I don't really know what to do with that exactly. So he said, B'Pratik, he Rashbi Olav Shalom, who Mechamesha Talmidim, and specifically because Rashi was one of the five Gedolim, five, what do you say, Mechamesh, Talmidov, Hagadolim Shah Rebbe Akiva, which were the great ones, or the grown ones, I'm not sure. He said, V'lechem Zeman Simcha Secha B'yom Lag LaOmer, so therefore Lag, he keeps saying LaOmer, the 33rd day for the Omer, if he Masha Be'arna Da'el B'yom Lag LaOmer. So the only comment that I have, what I have to say is that down in the Shefa of the Hakavanot, where it says start here, excuse me, I have number Yud Bet down below. Number Yud break with a prat ki Rashbe Olav Shalom Hum B'Chamesha Talmidim Agadolim Shal Rebbe Akiva V'lechem Zeman Simcha So B'Yom Lag LaOmer Yimei Shan Be'arna La'el B'Yom Lag LaOmer. So he says Harav Kitzer Khan, so he has abbreviated kind of way of saying this. Is Bir Madul Lag BaOmer, wife Lag BaOmer. Here we're agreeing that it's the 33rd day. BaOmer, also questionable. So what the Omer means in the Omer. Doesn't really mean of the Omer, but maybe it does. But it means or on the Omer. Anyway, who Yom Simchas Rebbe Rashbi. So this is the day of the Simcha of the Rashbi. Bring this down a little bit more. And he says, so he's one of the five. Shoshorshim v'shem akadatam, hamizgala b'yom lag of ba'omer, b'mituk shem, and he's b'mituk shem aim gal kanizkar, and that is the sweetening that comes out of this concept of the aim gal that we said, which is part of the name akadatam. How you write the first two letters and then the gematria of the middle three letters. My question on this is that is it just like as the world turns, there's a constant change going on in the world, and the change takes place at the 33rd instead of being a radiance that's coming from the name Elokim, which is pure din, it changes on that day. But other than that, I haven't seen, or maybe I'm missing it, the reason, what caused this to happen, that the 33rd day changed everything. Is it because of, we know that the Talmidim died during that period of time, of Rebbe Akiva, and the killing stopped on that day, but it's a little bit hard to see what actually, is that just the fact or going on? I'm the B'Kaf HaChaim, cause of Shenirach B'Divrach Rav Kan, Shachas Simcha B'Yom Lag BaOmer, he al Shebiyom Zechab Nismak Rashbi Ayidei Rabo Rebbe Akiva. So this is the day of his smicha. So he has the ordination, he's consecrated in that sense. V'lechein hu yom simchasa, so that is the day of his joy. Then, Behevi Shakain Kasech Idor, he also writes this. He says it is Isfar of Tov Ayin, so he goes on, that the joy is really because of that. So it's like he becomes the bearer of all, or one of the five bearers of all of the traditions that came before through Rabbi Akiva. The other way, though, in Kamasfarim, in many places, he said the Siddur of Arav Maladi, I guess that means the Lubavitcher first, the original Rebbe, the first Rebbe. He alluded the Rashbi because it's the day of his death, of his passing. So, which begs a question: what's a simcha when somebody dies? Also in the Eid Preis Chaim, in the Shaar Sfiras Omer, he says the cost of the head. It says specifically there, Shabiyom Zecha b'Meis Rashbi. This is the day that Reish Rashbi. So you have over here the question of cutting the hair at this time, celebration, and different things that people do in Meron. Rabbi Akiva Shemesu b'Sfiras Omer. So he says the cost of the head, Shabiyom Zecha, that he died. And he's one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva that died during the time of Sfiras Omer. So that lumps him into, I don't know the way that it's stated. It sounds like it lumps him into the 24,000. But he died. In other words, he died. That day is like a little bit of both. I don't know, or maybe that's the name of a Kadditam. I had a situation where somebody was saying that a child is born, let's say, for example, you see this a lot, where the doctors, unfortunately, will tell you that, it was better that the child should pass away because they have so much problems that's become a tremendous burden to their parents. So, in that sense, if the child actually did pass away, not because of what the doctors did, but just it happened, in that case, it would be a little bit of a kadditam, because while one time the child is gone, but on the other hand, the pain of raising the child would be eliminated too. Is that what he means? Something like that? And the Varach of the Tzarek B'in v'Chachidah Sham wrote Salom, and this is what he was, the Taus Soferhu b'Pri Eitz Chaim. Now what you read over here in the Pri Eitz Chaim, where it says that it has to do with the Kokosi Hedra B'Yom Zecha B'Meis Rashbi, that's wrong. V'chein Chivir B'Kam Abgam Svarim, the first Rishon V'Ksiv Yav, the Pri Eitz Chaim, that the very first place where we saw it handwritten, Lissa, this idea does not exist there. So what is it? Masik Sham B'Kaf HaChaim, and so he includes over there in the Kaf HaChaim the after the ha Issa, that both is the day of his smicha and the day in which he passed away. We don't have a date for his passing away, I guess. And so, therefore, from the Pri Eitz Chaim, where it gives you the idea that he passed away on the 33rd. So I don't know. V'havein the v'chaben ishchai. So let's go on. It's a sefer Hilul Rabbah. He said v'gam came noket kachidor. He also says it like the chidor. But the king kosher the data roy leila. So therefore, it's really fit to go. B'yom zeh gam the kever Rabbi Akiva, to go to Rabbi Akiva's kever first. Became the kever of B'shar Chamesha Talmidei of Rabbi Akiva and all the other five. Rabbi Yehuda's up there also. I don't know about the others. I guess Rabbi Meir is in Tiberia, so that's 3. The others I don't know. Shahare gam hem nismechu ba'os yom, because they also got smicha on that day. So if it's because of the celebration of smicha, so it's not just the Rashbi you should go to his grave for that. Yom simchasam. So this is also the day of their joy. So he said v'chapri chodesh. So answer, he says kasam tzas ba'ofen acher is a little bit of a different idea. Shehikshech b'shech b'ma ki hasimcha b'yom lag ba'omer. What in fact is that joy that we're talking about in lag ba'omer? The mishum shepasku milamos. So if it's because, well, the dying stopped, halom mesu kulam, everybody's dead, v'lo nishar af echa b'chem, and nothing remains. I'm not sure what this is going on. Let's read a little bit more. Because of and he explains over there, the Esher the Hasimcha ki al osam talmidim shahosif achar kach Rabbi Akiva. So sometime after the 33rd day, that's what he says. Maybe in the next year, on the 33rd day, I don't know. Shalo mesu komo hakad alef talmidim. These are the ones that did not die, like the other 24,000 that we talked about. Now over here he comes in to start coming into a review, and I'm going to read some of it. There's maybe a place or two that might be want to look at, but I'm going to go through this because we are trying to go through as much of the 12th drush as possible. He says he named. I'm just going to read down below, or let's see this. Let's read the blurb at the top. This bar kitzer. So we're going to explain in a brief form. Shall sisi b'kol kavonas omer v'be'er heitiv. So this is something I wanted to bring out. Yisbar shal mochim shenimshko b'leil Pesach. Hoyel fi Shaar was only for that moment. Then nimshacha b'shenis al yedecha b'omer, and then it comes back a second time, little bit, by counting the omer. Hinen isbar ki hagdolos hazeh dezer anpen koyel fi Shaar b'leil rishon. The whole godless took place right then. Shal Pesach. V'achar yom rishon shal Pesach nistalkim kol hamochem and niskarim. V'chazad the kadmuso, and it comes back to where it was. V'achar kach melel sheni ve'elach. Then after that, from the second night onwards, Oz anu chosin lahamshek hamochem niskarim kefi sedach hamedregos through the different levels. Kol medrega b'yom shalo, every medrega in its own day. Al yedeh mitzvahs stirvas omer b'chamishim yom shebein Pesach latzeres, in the 50 days that we're counting. V'nodeki ein a keser nimnach la'olam, that the keser is never counted. V'in the niktebes b'mizvah rak min achach v'lamata, that's the only parts. V'hidach kasher nisbar v'nimnach v'shavas spheres sheyesh min achach v'dezer anpen. So the 7 spheres which we are Chochma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, those. V'sham hu makom haschalas binyan hanukva. So this is how it seems to me that we have it like on the last day, on the 7th day, you have both of them come in. This is because why? Because once you get to Tiferes, you're getting also to the nukva, she's on the back of him. B'malchus ma'ach recha tiferes k'noida v'ima heim sheves spheres, and also with her are 7 spheros. K'negdam anasofrim sheves shavuos elu, and we count through these the 7 weeks. So he said v'nimsa ki b'kol shavua me'elach sheves shavuos. So every week, let me say v'nimsa ki b'kol shavua me'elach sheves shavuos. Nisakenis sphera achas b'sheves spheros and iskeres. There is one sphera that is besugan of the 7 that we're talking about. The hiyoski kol achas me'elach sheva. They got each one of these 7. He kolulu b'kulam has all the other 7 in it. V'chei lo hispik sheva yomim elo sheva shavuos. So therefore 7 days is not enough, but you need 7 weeks. Because Shavua Kula Sheva Yomim, and every Kolel, has 7 weeks in it. Let's look a little bit. Let me get a drink here. 1 second. Let's look at the Shefa Hakavanot down here if we can learn a little something. He said the Yoki Kol Achaz Me'elach Sheva Hikolula Mikulam. Let's go down to the light print. He said the Maisa a Rishash no Neket. He doesn't really say it like that. So there's one particular place in the Chabad Chagdam that's going to get a tikkun. That is the Chabad Pratim shal hasvira haklalis anisakenis ba'oso yom. So for example, you have this svira of Chachma, that's the first week. You would be dealing with the Chabad Chaktam of that. Eleneket shebekol yom imei hashavua. Every single day, nisaknim kol hasheva bechinas apratim. It fixes. It's a little hard for me to understand. It actually rebuilds kol hasheva bechinas apratim, all of the 7 bechinas, specific bechinas. So he said, v'halaluchan imei hashavua is like this: shebekol yom netnasim bechinas mochim acherim. Every day comes in new mochin. So this is what he wants to say. So first, what are the mochin? So it's different mochin come in. So first one is kadlus. They are basically katnus, v'gadlus, Rishon, and Sheni. Kaseda Sheniz Boyer La'el, and we've been through all of that. So this is a big part of this, is that the origin of the Mochin, he wants to, this is the thing that it's not just a tikkun in a sphera, but it's also bringing in the Mochin from different places. So he says, Shenizbor La'eron Drush Ches, so he says, he says also, the Ashkenazim, Lo Chimkuch Es Yom and the Spheres Pratius, they don't take the days and think of it in terms of a specific sphere that they're working on. Rak Kos V'Chushabakol Yom Niknasim, but he is Mochim Mecherin Karushash, that when actually what's happening is that every day of that week a different set of Mochin is coming in. Avachavchem Lo Chizkarno Klal Shenisaknim Bakol Shvua Chabad Chagdan Pratius, but in the Ashkenaz Seder, they don't get into that. Chabad Chagdan Pratius, Rak Kosvu B'stam, of they just say that like that. Shebishvua Rishon Nesakim Svirs HaChochma, V'sheni Debina, and said like that, V'chein Chala, but they don't say of the Chabad Chagdan. So let's go on. Where would I have been then? I was on number Yud Gimel. It must be up here. Okay. So just reading around here, we're going to get to a place here very soon, or maybe not. Okay, there's going to be just a big wind-up, and I'm going to skip it. So he said, Yizbar shetzarek l'kaven l'hashbia mizer anpin l'nuk. V'gam yikaven l'hashbia mishev shavasos, which are memtes yamin dechurim. Those are the mem, he says again, I guess he says, that the memtes days are all male. But you take those, or they start with male, el memtes yamin nukvin, into the 49 days of the female aspect. So that's ultimately what we want to do. So then you have to follow the order. So they're also in these 7 weeks. The Sakin Masha Pagam B'Shev Sefiros, to fix what the Pagam that took place in the 7 Sefiros. It's only Loma Shebishvua Rishon Yakaven the Sakin call Masha Pagam B'Sefiros HaChesed. B'Shvua Sheni call Masha Pagam B'Sefiros HaGevura, V'chein Al Derek Zecha B'Kol HaShev Shavuos. Moving on. So the bracha the secret of this bracha is this. So Diber, so we said this before, and we'll say it again. He says, Sod HaBracha is this. Besod Diber HaHevel LeYotzim in the past. So now you're going to make the bracha called Sfiras HaOmer, and it's going to bring out this Hevel. Shehu Sod Or Makif, which is the secret of the Or Makif. Now we said before the Or Panimi does not come in, and I was thinking that the Or Panimi comes in during Shavuos itself. So Kavanas Avaya de Birchas HaOmer, Shehi Kavanas Havlos Adamim, and he's just reviewing here. So you use that, which he shows what it looks like. He says, Yan ki zos ha-bracha ki kula b'zer anpin. This bracha is all in zer anpin, v'tachem tekaven l'kala b'shem zeh. So you have to have in mind, incorporate in this, Eser shema shal mad halofim. We're going to see in the depictions that we've seen, the havlos of the ma, inside the ma, it has an ekia inside it, the havliya osam eser damim, and this brings you about to the swallowing or the absorption of the 10 damim shel chesed the gevura b'zer anpin atzma, which comes from the chesed of the gevura into zer anpin himself. Ki haloha dashalo, who asara midos, has 10 different measurements. Chamish chesed v'chamish gevura. So he calls them midos, or attributes. Keeping moving on, so he Gavanas al Sfiras HaOmer. When you say al Sfiras HaOmer to cover Roshi Tevas Sfiras HaOmer, you should have this in mind. The Roshi Tevas of Sfiras HaOmer, El Shem Adni, to the concept of Adni, which is a Ola Gematria Samachay, which comes through the Gematria Samachay, which is the Roshi Tevos. So he says, of Inyan hu ki kumosha ana mamshichin shefa ala zer anpin, the same way we're doing that. Kach ana tzrich lachamshik gam came el hanukva. We have to also have this in mind when we're saying Sfira. Ha-omer he masara acharayim de akya. What is the omer anyway? So you take the acharayim de akya, ha-nikra asara domim, which is called by the name of the 10 bloods. And now, when they come to Zer Anpin, Nivloim blow, and they're absorbed inside of Zer Anpin, then they become actually a panimi. But they're only the dam in the yosher. I'm not sure what this means. And they make, let's read again. V'na'asim asara shemo shal ekya hu b'gematria kaf aleph. So he said, if you fill that, you tamala ugashita malo yebo asaras osias. The milui of ekya has 10 letters in it. B'harecha b'gematria kale. Let me see if it's a gemina of ekya. So he says of that hinech asaras shemos kale. B'gematria Amar. So Kale times Amar is 310. But the Hamshech M'Shem Kale Hanizger Chayotze B'Shem Ekya Kamor. So you have this kavana to flow down, to cause the flow down M'Shem Kale Hanizger Chayotze B'Shem Ekya Kamor, like we said, which is basically, it's easier to say it, the Ekya plus the 10 letters of the Milui against the number Kale. Al Shem Adni, you bring it to Barahar Nirmaz Baroshe Tevis, Virus Omek Nizkar, Ba'altihi Haba Kale Adni Kanoida. So there is something that I wanted to note here, but I didn't want to go into, going into great depth. And so when you get to that phrase, that today is day so and so, the Kavin Ki Yom Zer B'Gematria Kale Havaya. This is the Gematria Kale going to Havaya. What is Kale's 31 and 26? How much is that? That's 57. So the thing is like this. Ki Kamo Shagavanta, the Hamshek Kale Ba'adni, Kach Tekave the Hamshek Shem Kale Bazar HaNikra Havaya, who is also called by the name Havaya. Kavanas Yom Kach V'Kach, of Am V'Koch, a Misbar, or Yom Kach V'Kach L'Omer, as the Kavah B'Seder Kol HaKavanas Sheniv Ezes Hashem, all the things should have been explained. That we'll explain. So he said, Rachaman. Now this is one of the parts I wanted to see. Rachaman, who Yachzer Avodas Beis HaMikdash Nemakom B'Meheber Yomenu, who Tikun Ha'or HaPanimi. So let me see if there's just something I could do here. He says, what is this about the Or Panimi? And let's still go down to the TIV Hakavanot, where he says, Nakn in the Chazer B'Katzara, as say the Hamshachos and the Asim B'Kol Yom. V'hem Shtei Hamshachos, Achas Hi Hamshachos HaMochen Dezah, V'Ashenis is the Hamshachos of the Chasad of Gevurah Dezah V'Nuk. So the first thing is bringing them into Zer Anpin, and then bringing them to the Nuk, Chasad Dezah V'Gevurah L'Nuk. Okay, did I get anything out of that? Let's go on. So he says, I didn't really plan on going through this whole. Instead, I wanted to go to the Shefa. I'm sorry. So that's simple enough that it's going for the Zat to the Nuk. Let's go to the Shefa, which is down below on number Yudal. Benaska B'Shvua Rishon. Let's go to the first week. Binyan say that his pashtas are chasadim. Gavar harachna b'zel el. V'bir shteichad rochim sha'amam roch b'zel. V'navi zos kan shu b'katzara. So let me bring something back and let me see what we can understand it. So he says the day of Rishona, kach nekdach b'mishnas kasidim, etc. So verbis ashecha v'kol chesed mesheva b'chinas chasadim, every chesed from the 7 different types of chasadim, mispashat b'svira shekenegda b'zeh. It goes to the same svira in Zer Anpin. The Handishacha Chesed Arisha Mispasha B'Sphirus HaChesed Zer Anpin, V'Chesed Hasheni Mispasha B'Sphirus HaGevura, V'chein Halo. V'Seder His Pashtus, the messages of Chesed Hasheni. V'Seder His Pashtus, so that would be Chesed into Chesed, Gevura into Gevura, etc., like that, all like that. V'Seder His Pashtus, Shevas HaVechinas, Aparati shall call Chesed, Na'aseh Ba'ofen Zeh. It happens in this way. Let's see if I can understand it. He said, the chesed, the rishon, niknas b'chesed, the chesed ezah. V'gevurah, the chesed rishon, b'gevurah, the chesed ezah. V'chein chala, so that would make a little bit better sense to me. V'chein chala is as we go forward. Val derek zecha b'chus seder his passions of Gevuras benuk, and it's the same way that it goes into the nuk. Shebekol shavura mispashet Gevura achas b'sfira achas denuk. So every day you're going to have something coming, one sfira coming into a specific sfira in the nuk. Kol yom b'sfira achas pratis. So that's the first day. But the second one says like this. Says like this. V'chein neked DRUSHOT shekol echad chasadim mispashtim b'kol chashavas spheros aklalius d'zer anpin. So everyone goes to all the 7 spheros in general, the general spheros of zer anpin. What does this mean? V'open zeh. Chesed the prati the chesed. So the chesed of chesed, harishon, mispashet b'chesed aprati the chesed haklali the zer anpin. It goes into the specific chesed of the chesed haklali zer anpin. Gevura the chesed rishon, b'chesed aprati the gevura haklali the zav. The feres the chesed the rishon, b'chesed aprati the feres haklali the zav. V'kein chol, and they all go like this. So that's the chesed going into different places according to the nature of the chesed that we're bringing. Now the second one, chesed the sheni, so it's the chesed of the chesed the sheni, shehu bechinas gevura, so the second chesed is going to be called gevura. Mispashet begevura prati the chesed the klali the zah, it's going to go into the specific chesed, or the gevura of that chesed in zer anpin, the gevura the chesed the sheni, begevura prati the gevura the klali the zah. The feres the chesed the sheni begevura prati the feres the klali the zah. V'chein hala, and so forth as we go onward. V'hine mekeben shemaloshin of the marshu b'drush zeh, the way that the marshu wrote or laid this out. Never shenoket kederek b'rishona, so that's really he's fixing it like the first way on this kerish called chesed b'spasha b'sfirik and the shagat nagdal. V'yarnu kach b'tiv Hakavanot of Masugar Haba Das Rishash, and so later on he's going to show us that and like that. So really at the end of the line here, and we have a sikum on page Reish Mem Tes. We'll try to go through this in the few minutes that we have here. He says the sikum Kavanas Sphirish in his Ba'ar Bedrash Sphiris Omer. He says the one, number 1. L'hamshik Amokhan the Sphiris Chabad Chagdam Dezer Anpen. So his Chag V'Chabdan is Ovi. For the Rishas Chayda B'Sfiras Chabad Chagdam Apratis, you're going to the specific Chag V'Chagdam Apratis, the Sfiras Chabad Chagdam the Klaus. I'm not sure exactly how that works. It's really a lot of mind game there. Mecha Sfira Mispashtem Bizar Rak HaMochen the Yasos, and the first the Sfira. We only have Mochen coming V'Zav V'Chon the Mochen the Yasos V'Da Abba V'Ima Eloin. That's the only place. Mochen the Arich Anpin Neknase B'Chag HaShavuot. Seder HaMshach is the Mochen Hu, so the way that the Mochen come, Shekabal Shavuot Nimshach the Sfira Achas. Milvad L'das Sheniknase B'Shtei Shavuot. B'Shavuot HaShlishi the Chasad the Das, B'Shavuot HaRevi'ah HaGevurah the Das. The B'Shavuot HaShavich Nimshach and the Teferes and Malchus Yachdav, they go in together. We said that one's behind the other. V'Kol Yom and May call Shavuot every day of every week. Nimshach B'Chinas Mochim B'Cheri. B'Yom Rishon Gadlus Rishon the Abba Yasos, it comes from the Abba, which is in this case Yasos. Yom Sheni Gadlus Rishon the Ima. This week we're just going through it real quick. Yom Shlishi Katna Sheni the Abba V'Ima Elohim. Yom Revi Gadlus Sheni the Ima Eloh. Yom Chamishi Katnas Rishon the Abba V'Ima Yasos the Devuna. Yom Shishi Rishima the Gadlus Sheni the Abba V'Eloh. Yom Shivi Gadlus Sheni Atzbach the Abba. Number bet. He said Hamshachas Hamisha Chasadim. She is pashtu bezer anpen v'chamesh gevuras banok v'hem kulula memem tes bechinos. Each one of them is going to have 49 parts. V'kol yom nimshacha bechina acha mechasada dezer anpen bechina acha mechavuras banok. So 49 days, 49 pieces. Number gimel. He says hamshachas levusha chasada dedas dezer anpen shenistalku mene bizman galus mitzrayim, that left him because of galus mitzrayim, and they were left with just the area, the Mochin held by Paro. But tzrich lahamshichim she's pashta beguf dezer anpin. Now you have to start bringing them down. V'zera b'nikbrach of laws adomim. Number dalet. The kavin harishash. Yeshna od kavanish and bekavonim rak b'shvur harishon. Another one was what? V'hu lahamshich hachesed the rishon and nikra yomam, which is called yomam. That's like the yom shekulo. Everything is in it. Shemekoma tachas agarim. So that was a question you had. How's it? The yomam is chesed is on the right line, but here he's saying where this is coming from. And bina is in a line. They're all in a line, and the bottom one is chesed. It could be chesed, I guess, on the bottom or next to where the goron is. Of his chalak the memtes bechinas inside there it is 49 parts. So you had a view of where this chasadim, this chesed is coming from. Number hey, the kavin lahamshik ha'ara miyomim dechurim. So the hamshacha is from the male aspect, from the male days, the yomin nukfin. So it's going to go in the same kind of idea into the nuk. Number vav, he said the kavin kol yom ba'achad ma'osios shem mab. So each one of these mab da'ana b'koach. That's in the little blue book. It's also in the other book. I got used to using the little blue book. So he says then the kavin, the mizber elokim yechanenu, to have this idea when you're saying this phrase. B'kol yom teva achas. So we said that it became os achas b'pasuk yispachuv yeranenu. Also one of those. L'kavin and number ches, he says l'kavin lahamtek hashach denim. V'hem sheva malchei Adam shemesed b'shviras hakelim v'kol shavura mesaknim melech echad mehem. Number test, and this is the end. Here he says gam yikaven l'sakein mashapavim b'sviros, also to have a betikun in the pagam that you did in all of the sviros shabagam b'sviros. That's it. Thanks for giving me a little extra time today. And Kol Tuv, have a wonderful Shavuos. And when we come back, Metz Hashem, after Shavuos, we're going to be starting in the Sifra Tzniut, etc. Okay? Kol Tuv.